Hello. Welcome to this edition of the Cancer Coach Talks. Tonight, we're going to be talking about organics. Are they worth it? Can we skip them? Do we need them? Are they important for cancer? Why are they so expensive? How not to get fooled? We're going to answer all of those questions tonight. So thank you so much for joining me. My name is Leslie Nance. I am the Cancer Coach. I am a certified holistic nutritionist, a certified holistic cancer coach, and also a 7.5-year cancer survivor. And I come here on Tuesday nights, just sharing a little bit with you guys about how to keep the body inhospitable to cancer and to disease. And then also, if you're fighting active cancer, just really laying down some good information and laying down some groundwork, really. Let's think about this as groundwork and not final work on really helping the body become inhospitable to cancer and to cancer treatments and all of those kinds of good things. So thank you so much for joining. It's really good to have you guys here tonight. We're going to answer a lot of questions tonight that you may have about the specifics of organics when we talk about food in particular. We're not going to be talking about organic clothing or organic products, just specifically food tonight. So hi, Nancy. Hi, Kathy. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you are joining us live tonight and you're not watching on YouTube in replay or on Facebook in replay, then please make sure and say hello tonight. You're also welcome to type in your questions as we go along tonight. And just, at the end of the training tonight, I will take an opportunity with you guys to answer those questions. I may not get to all of them with more and more people coming in nowadays to the Cancer Coach Talks, the less time I have during these broadcasts to be able to answer all your questions. But thank you guys so much for being here. Hi, Lydia. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Okay. So organics. What do we say? I mean, this is a huge topic, and there's always so many questions about should I or should I not be eating organics? Is it important to my cancer journey? Can I skip it? Why are they so expensive and all that kind of thing? What kind of, what's the organic priority? We're going to talk about all that tonight. But the first thing that I want to say in tonight's training about organics is that just because it says organic on the package does not mean that it's automatically okay for you to eat. Because this is something that food marketers do that really frustrates the snot out of me. So what happens is that they have this packaging, and let's use the most recent one that I was exposed to, which is organic Doritos. Okay. And they put organic on the package and people go, oh, look, it's organic Doritos. And we get all excited about the fact that maybe we could eat Doritos again and not poison our body. And nothing could be further from the truth. And we're going to talk about the distinctions of that. But just really, really quickly, food marketers are beginning to recognize that there is a segment of the population that is getting sick and tired of being poisoned by the food that they put into their body. And so these marketers are not stupid. They are multi-billion-dollar companies, and they have people specifically there to market food to you. And so they know that they can charge a little more if they put organics on the label, and then they will put some organic ingredients in there, but the food is still processed. They're still using a lot of fake foods that are not natural foods. They're still going through massive amounts of processing that don't even resemble real food. The only intake you're getting is from calories and macronutrients, which are going to be fats. Well, really, fats and carbs are the only two things that they get in there. They're loaded with sugar. They're loaded with inferior fats. They're loaded with inferior ingredients, and they are not okay. So don't get fooled by it. If it says organic Doritos, if it says organic Snicker bar, if it says organic wine, if it says organic beer, those things are still bad for you. Organic ice cream. Ice cream is still ice cream. So don't fall for that. If you're going to eat junk food, just go ahead and eat the junk food. Like, just eat the regular Doritos, just drink the regular wine. Just, none of that makes any difference whatsoever when it comes to the processing of food. So that's the first thing that I want to get out. So the next question we should answer is, why organics when we have cancer? Why is it so important? Because I am a cancer coach. So let's talk about why it's so important that you have some that you're consuming organics mostly while you have cancer. I instruct every single one of my clients to eat organic as often as possible. So to answer that question, yes, it's important, especially with active cancer, that you eat organic as often as possible, because here's what happens. Let's just take produce, for example. Let's say that you eat an apple and the apple is not organic and you just eat the whole apple. You eat the peel, you eat the apple itself, you eat the whole thing, right? Maybe not the seeds and the core, although I know people that do that. But you eat you eat what's consumable for most of us on an apple. And you ingest those leftovers, that pesticide and herbicide residue and fertilizer in some cases, with some fruits and vegetables, you consume that. When you consume that toxin, you're still getting all the great things from the apple. It's like your body's like, yay, thank you for the apple. I love the apple. The apple has things that I need in it to function every single day, right? That I need. The apple has nutrients that I need. But what happens is that you consume those pesticides and the body goes to work on that toxin. And maybe this doesn't make a difference if you consume an inorganic apple every once in a while. But if you're doing that, if you're doing the apple a day keeps the doctor away theory, then you're consuming those pesticides every single day, then it's a cumulative effect inside the body. So will one inorganic vegetable or fruit or something cause cancer? No, but it's the cumulative effect, and it's the wear and tear that you put on your immune system going after those pesticides on a consistent basis. So when we have cancer, it becomes really important because we want to boost the immune system as much as possible. We don't want it focusing on processing other toxins, right? We want it to go to work on the cancer. We want it to do its work to get rid of cancer cells. And we're talking about the immune system specifically here. So we want it to go to work on those cancer cells. So we don't want it focused on all the toxins that we're consuming during the day and processed food and organic or not, and foods that have been sprayed with pesticides or have been given inferior fertilizer or anything like that. You don't want your body focusing on that. You want it to focus on the cancer. And so it's like borrowing our immune system when we ingest a toxin, because anything that goes through the digestive tract, your body will give a priority to. It will say, hey, we're going to put priority on that thing, that toxin that you just ingested. We're going to give priority there. And then it does less work, especially on a consistent basis. It's going to do less work to keep you healthy. So that's why it's important from a cancer perspective that you do that. Now, if you are working on being inhospitable to cancer, it's equally as important so that you don't wear out your immune system. That's very layman's to say it that way, but essentially, we overtax and we overwork the immune system, and then it gets dysfunction, and it gets dysfunctional. And that causes problems within the body and can leave the door cracked open for cancer. Usually it's not one, hi, honey. Usually it's not one specific thing that is contributing to that. It's a multitude of things. It's layers of those things that are adding up. So when you have the opportunity to eat organic in our house, I would say that 95% of the things in our home, I don't know, what do you say, Robin? I would say 95% of the things in our home actually have, especially fresh produce, meats, dairies. We're going to talk about priority in just a minute. That they have, that they're organic, and we don't eat junk food, so we don't have organic junk food sitting around. Although, if I was going to eat junk food, I'd probably just eat junk food. Forget the whole organic part of it. So, what does it mean? What does it mean to for it to say organic, right? What does it mean when something says organic on it? So trying to stay out of a toxic overload, right? So when you buy something, when you buy a fruit or a vegetable that has organic labeling on it, what does it mean? It does not, first of all, it does not mean that it is 100% free of pesticides, because there is overspray, there's toxins in just our air that we breathe and that can be around. A lot of times there's an organic farm next to an inorganic farm. So let's just be crystal clear about that. Pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, those things can actually show up in organic food. So it doesn't mean that it's 100% pure. The only way you can get that is if you have an organic garden in your backyard. And even then, if you tested the food, you'd probably see some harmful chemicals show up in the food. But it's the ratio of that makes the big difference in the human body. So I'm going to read you what the USDA certified organics rules mean here in America. So the USDA organic certified rules overview says these things, and these are just a few bullet points that I wanted to point out. Avoidance of synthetic chemicals, chemical inputs, fertilizers, pesticides, antibiotics, and food additives. Irradiation, so they don't irradiate the food, that's illegal, and the use of sewage sludge. So let's talk about when they radiate food. So typically when they dry food of any kind, so dried meats, cured meats, sometimes they radiate to help things ripen faster. Sometimes they use, not so much anymore. That used to be a big practice, and not so much anymore because it's really kind of gotten cracked down on, and it's expensive as well. A lot of spices, so a lot of your dried spices have been irradiated, especially exotic fruits and vegetables, exotic spices that are coming into this country. They use irradiation on the transfer of it here in this country because the USDA wants anything that could show up from another country in a bug or a particular type of weed or anything like that. They use irradiation to kill that off. It's not like radioactive food, but if you can avoid it, that would be awesome. And then sewage sludge, I want to touch on that. So a lot of the crops, especially grown in this country, are sprayed with sewage sludge. So basically what they do is they go to water treatment plants, they pick up the sewage sludge. As you can imagine, it makes really good fertilizer, and they take it and they spray it on crops. And this practice has been used for, it's been used for really, really long time, using human excrement to fertilize crops and animal as well. It's really good fertilizer. Our poop is really good, amazing fertilizer, but they spray it on the crops, typically at the ground level, but it can come up on the plants, as you might imagine. So USDA certified says that they are not using that. The avoidance of genetically modified seeds, so GMOs, so they naturally do not have GMO seed in them. Use of farmland that has been free from prohibited chemical inputs for a number of years. We'll talk about that in just a second, and why is it so expensive? Often that's 3 or more years that the farmland has been free of these prohibited chemicals that are on the list. For livestock, it means adhering to specific requirements for feed, housing, and breeding practices as well. Keeping a detailed written production and sales record. So basically an audit trail so that they can prove that they're USDA certified, maintaining strict physical separation of organic products from non-certified products, undergoing a periodic on-site inspections as well is a big part of that. So the other question begs to be answered. Why is it so expensive? And this ties in together. So I want to address it here. Why are organics so stinking expensive? And the reason is because farms have to jump through it. If they're going to transition from conventional to organic, that can be up to a 5-year process. If they're starting out organic, it can be up to a 3-year process for them to become USDA certified. And so from Wikipedia, here's what it says about that specific thing. It takes conventional farms 3 years or more to receive a certified organic status and the official seal to get a USDA 100% organic status. The seal can take up to 5 years to get, again, for conventional. So you might have a better understanding about why organics can be more money than conventional produce. So that leaves us to the next part of the conversation about, and please keep in mind too, which I think this is important to say, is that while farms are transitioning or while they are starting up, so whether you're starting up as organic or you're transitioning into organic, the farms must sell as conventional. So even though they're using organic practices with all the log keeping and all the extra work that it takes, and how much, not necessarily harder, but a little bit more work to keep an organic farm, and more, you get more loss as well. That's why the prices are more expensive. And so it takes them, so while they're working up to get that certification, they cannot sell as organic. They must sell as conventional. Now, there was a new law, and I haven't kept on it after I became a food blogger. I was doing a lot of research around this particular subject on my own, just to see if it was something, did I want to buy into the whole organics thing? And is it a big scam? You know, because I felt a little scammed by it, and I don't trust the USDA and the FDA and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I trust them, but not with my life. And so it's, you know, it's a federal agency, and I just do my own research. But I, what was I going to say? I know I had something specific I wanted to say there. Oh, I was doing my research. And at one time there was a law, and I don't know if it's still around or not. At one time there was a law that they were trying to pass that said that transitioning farms or startup farms could actually sell transition organics, and that's what they were going to call them. And they were going to call them transition food or transition. That was at the time. I'm sure they came up with a better name at some point, but that they could transition. And so that would be at a little bit higher cost, but not as much as organic. And I think the thought there was that it was going to get really confusing. And so therefore they did not, sorry, I just had dinner, that they decided not to do that. So just another little kind of layer of that concern for organic farmers. And you may be asking, why in the world would organic farmers conventional farmers transition if it's that big of a pain in the butt? And the number one reason that is stated for that by farmers is one, because of humanity and that their ground does not go fallow so quickly. And two, because of the safety of their family. You know that there are massive lawsuits out there for Roundup. And by the way, if you have Roundup anywhere in your vicinity of your home, please get rid of it. Go do your research. The lawsuits that are out there right now, the ones that have been won, the ones that are pending, is no joke. I just met someone's wife yesterday that they were landowners, and exposure to the Roundup and his settlement is coming in because he won the lawsuit for being exposed to it and having lymphoma. I'm sure he'd rather not have lymphoma than the lawsuit and the settlement. So please, if you have it, please stop using it. It is a dangerous, dangerous chemical and should not be used by humans or on our earth anywhere. So please do your part to put that out of business, essentially, and make them come up with a better solution than what we have in the Roundup products. So anyway, that was a total little campaign there. We actually interviewed Brent Weisner, which was the lead attorney for the first case, the first settlement that happened the man, and his name eludes me, I'm sorry, but the man who won like this massive lawsuit because of his lymphoma, because of his long-term exposure to the product Roundup. So anyway, so please get rid of that. But because of that, farmers have, because of the quality of life and the danger that surrounds those types of fertilizers and those types of pesticides and those types of weed killers, they want to transition. So that should tell you something there, like huge. I mean, right there, we should be like, light bulb ding, So thank you. My husband is saying Dwayne Johnson. That's correct. Yeah. So yes, so if you're on a budget and you're worried about, the cost of organics, I'm going to give you a list of priorities here for you to work through. And you may want to grab out a pen and pencil or come back and watch replay or something to write this down. But if you want to eat more organics, you're on a budget, then use this priority list and it will definitely help you make better choices in the grocery store. So this goes from 1 to 6. The top priority is dairy. So if you are consuming dairy, it should always be organic, whether it's butter or cheese or yogurt or I'm not a huge fan of milk, so I'm not even going to make that recommendation. So cow's milk is really not designed for human consumption, especially in quantities that we sell it in this country. But any type of dairy, that should be organic, 100% USDA certified organic. The reasons behind that is because the pesticides actually get translated in the dairy products. Now, when you're talking about cheese and yogurts and things that have been processed a little more from cow's milk, not so much, but still you do have that exposure. And also the cow's milk has less additives and less chemicals in it when it is organic. So the cows do not have GMO feed. They are, a lot of times it's grass fed, which is a labeling that you want to look for when you're eating anything from a cow, whether it's the dairy or the meat. Yes. So I could go down a rabbit trail there. I'm not going to go down that. Meat is the second priority. So grass-fed, if you're eating any red meats, anything that grazes should be, say, grass-fed. Pasture-raised, when we're talking about poultry, pasture-raised is a great thing to have on labeling if you're a meat eater and you're eating any type of poultry. And then free-range is also acceptable, but it should always be organic pasture raised or organic free range. And don't fall for the no antibiotics added. They haven't been allowed to use, no steroids, no antibiotics. They're not allowed to be use steroids or antibiotics in poultry since 1953. So that is nothing new. And they put the kibosh on that really quickly with poultry. So, but if it's pasture raised, then the poultry are free range, then the poultry is allowed to do what chickens or turkeys do naturally. And therefore, they're not eating as much feed. And if they are eating feed, then it's organic feed. So just paying attention to these little things, right? It's just little layers again that you want to pay attention to. Number 3 is going to be produce. So fruits, vegetables, those fresh or frozen. I do not recommend eating anything out of a can. So I would say, forget that. The only exception to that would be out of a jar, and that would be tomatoes, like crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes, and you want to make sure that those are organic for sure. So anything that has had any layer of processing, you want to make sure that it's organic. But produce is going to be next, and that whole idea of making sure that you get organics. I'm going to give you a trick on how to remember what to and what not to buy organic, so it saves you a little bit of money. The number 4 priority is going to be eggs. Eggs, pasture raised only, and they should say organic on them. We only eat organic pasture raised eggs. A lot of people just eat pasture raised eggs, which is way better than the 99-cent carton of eggs. And we could talk about eggs all day long. Honestly, I know a lot. I know more about eggs than I should know from somebody who's not a chicken farmer. So it doesn't have chickens and produces eggs. But they should say pasture raised on them. Grains would be in our fifth priority. So anytime you're eating any type of grain, and I'm not talking about processed grains, I'm talking about real grains like rice, barley, quinoa, spelt, buckwheat, anything like that. You want to make sure that it is fifth priority. So if it's between I'm going to buy, organic, a big bag of organic rice or choosing organic dairy, you would always choose dairy first and spend your money there. If that's the only money that you had, the budget you want to spend it there and then just buy the conventional grains. If you can buy it all, that's wonderful, but sometimes that's not practical for most people. And then spices would be in our sixth priority. And again, that's mostly because of that irradiation. And especially when we think about exotic spices like saffron or God, I can't think of any other, turmeric even. A lot of these more exotic spices, ginger would be considered that are coming into this country that are already dried when they're coming in. You'd want to make sure that they were organic. If you have these things, especially spices, don't go in and throw them all away and start over. That's ridiculous. Just when it's time to buy something new again, then go and choose the organic brand. And that's actually the same for everything that we've discussed tonight. There's no sense in wasting money and food by throwing it out after what you've heard tonight. Don't let that be a fear factor for you. Just the next time you buy that product, consider your budget, consider your health, consider, a lot of things need to be considered when you're making these choices to eat better at any given time, whether it's eating organics or not eating meat or, ditching dairy, whatever it is. You just want to make those things a priority. So here's a simple rule of thumb that I have for you. And as soon as I talk about this, I'm going to answer questions. So if you have questions, type them in now. I'm going to go in priority. So we're going to start at the top and go all the way down and read the questions. But here's a simple rule of thumb. You might have heard of the Clean 15 or the Dirty Dozen. Those are kind of hard to remember, and you might have to pull out a cheat sheet. And who wants to do that every time you go to the grocery store? So a simple rule of thumb is if you eat the peel, it's no deal. This confuses my husband. So I'm going to explain it. Every time I say it, he's like, that's confusing. I'm like, really? Like nobody else thinks it's confusing except you. I'm picking on him. Actually, I think my dad said it was confusing too. But anyway, if you eat the peel, it's no deal. So meaning that if you're eating an apple and you're eating the peel, it's no deal that it's conventional. You must buy it organic. If you're eating a banana or a watermelon or a cantaloupe and you're not eating the peel of that, I don't think you're eating the peel. You may be, but and you're not composting it to use it for some purpose later. Then you can buy conventional. You can buy inorganic at that point. So inorganic, that's not the right term because that would mean that it was made in a factory or something. So if you eat the peel, it's no deal. That is a really, really simple rule of thumb to remember. There's one exclusion to that that I can think of right off the top of my head, and that's asparagus. Asparagus can be conventional or organic, and it's because asparagus will grow under almost any circumstance whatsoever. It's an ancient food. It's one of the only foods we have left in today's society that looked like it did, like 2,000 years ago. And so it has a natural, it's evolved with natural pesticides and natural, it will grow through weeds. It'll grow through anything. So it's very, very hardy. So asparagus, you could buy a conventional or not. I still buy it when I can find it organic. If it's frozen, I definitely buy it organic. But if it's really hard to find that is not, that's fresh, that is organic. And it's really expensive typically. I don't know what the discrepancy is there. I have no explanation for that one. So there you go. If you eat the peel, it's no deal. All right. I'm going to go and look at some questions. Thank you guys for joining. If you have to pop out and you don't want to sit through the questions, thank you so much for being here. I certainly did to say hi to everybody that I wanted to, but let's go through here. That's awesome. I love that. Ellie is saying that she grew up with organic garden that her dad planted. I love that. Love, love, love it. Pesticides are not your friend. I know. It's true. It's true. All right, let's see. Walter says, I read that organic does not mean no pesticides, just different pesticides. So how to avoid pesticides? They're using natural products for pesticides that are harmful to pests, but not necessarily harmful to humans. And that's what I was talking about, that they cannot use inorganic chemicals. They cannot use synthetic chemicals. They must be a natural product. And there are some loopholes in our system. It is certainly not perfect, but it's better. It's still superior to eating conventional, in my opinion. How to avoid pesticides? You have to grow your own food. If you don't want any pesticides whatsoever, you need to either have a trusted farmer that you trust. 100% farmers markets are a great place to build that relationship, or you need to be growing your own food. That's how you guarantee that. I know. I grow my own herbs. And that's it, because I don't have time for anything else. So hello, everybody. It's good to see you. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see. Anne-Marie is asking, what is the best way or method to wash all veggies, veggie wash, vinegar, etc.? Honestly, it depends on what you're doing with them. If you're cooking them, you don't really even need to wash them, quite frankly, because the heat is going to destroy anything that is on them. You can rinse them if you want. If you're eating raw, you can certainly wash them in vinegar if you're so inclined. I'm just going to use the theory that God made dirt, and dirt don't hurt. And I know a lot of you are like, what about COVID? What about this? But I'm not telling you not to wash your veggies. I am just telling you that our immune system, Rob and I were just having this discussion this evening. But our immune systems are built on the backs of the germs and the bacteria that we are exposed to. And so when we try to purify everything on our planet, which is going on a lot right now, and maybe rightfully so, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So I'm not talking about that tonight, but our immune systems are built on the backs of that. And so when we're exposed to that, we trigger that response. And you might be saying, well, why is that not true then for pesticides? Then, why can't we build an immune response? Well, what happens is that when we're exposed to them over and over and over again, these pesticides, then our immune system gets hyperactive and can cause an autoimmune, which can be disguised as an allergy, can be disguised as a skin condition, can be disguised as digestive issues, can be disguised as cancer, can be disguised as a lot of things. Specifically when we're thinking about skin cancers, it can be disguised as a lot of things, but it's really just a hyperactivity of exposure to toxins over and over and over and over again, and the immune system gets hyperactive, and then it almost it burns itself out essentially, and it's like self against self, and that's what an autoimmune disease is it's basically self against self. So that was just a really long answer to a very simple question. Vinegar is fine. If you want to use vinegar on your fruits and vegetables, I recommend I would say about half a cup per gallon. You can just mix it up, right? Put your stopper in your sink and mix it right up in your sink. Put everything in there, and then just take everything out and rinse it. And you should be good to go there. So, wasn't, yes, I think you're right, Walter, on that one. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tommy, for your kind words there. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh no, wait, sorry. It wouldn't scroll down for a second. You're welcome. You're welcome. Terrence. Hi, Terrence. Good to see you. How do you eat organic meat without only eating organic chickens that you have to cook? Well, then I'm thinking you're asking about like at a restaurant. You don't. I mean, unless the restaurant is serving or USDA certified organic meat, you don't. That's the simple cook at home. That's the simple question. I mean, that's a simple answer there. So, that's my husband, by the way. Yes, they're full of wabbits, those wascally wabbits. Okay, guys, I am going to go on a walk with my husband now with our dog. And I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation tonight about organics. Thank you so much. If you find this valuable, please share out. We always appreciate it. Yeah, we always appreciate it when you share out our information. You never know who needed it or who needs it right now. If you're interested in learning more about cancer coaching or how that works, or if it's something that you need in your life, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Everybody always asks me, where's the website I can learn more about cancer coaching? There's not really one. And here's the reason why. Because I work with all of my clients. I work with all of my clients one-on-one. And that means that the things that I do are specific to your needs and what you need in the process. And that's not something that that a website or a calling card or a page can tell you. That's why I offer a free call up front to have a conversation about what you're struggling with and to find out if there's something that I can do to help you. And I love meeting people and talking to you. A lot of times I can help you solve a problem right over the phone that you're having if it's a very specific problem. Sometimes there's more. Sometimes I'm the person to help. Sometimes I'm not the person to help. And I'm happy to say that as well and point you in a good direction. So if that's you, please reach out to us. I would be happy to have that discussion with you. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, Babette. It's good to see you. Hi, Anne-Marie. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy, for being here. Terrence is asking, do you wear a mask outside always? No is the answer. That's a simple question. I mean, a simple answer. So no, I do not. All right, you guys, have a great evening, and I will see you actually next Tuesday. I am not going to be here. I will not be here for the Cancer Coach Talk. So if you are watching this and you're like, what? I wanted to watch live. I'll be back after that. But next Tuesday, I will not be here. I have a new client starting next week. I want to leave plenty of time for our conversation, for her very first conversation, making sure I get all her questions answered. So, and that might spill over into the Cancer Coach Talk. So I don't want to steal that time from her. So you guys have an amazing evening, and I will see you here next week for the Cancer Coach. Oh, no, weekend, 2 weeks. Geez, oh, Pete. I'm ready for that walk, obviously. You guys have a great evening. Bye, everybody. Hey, remember, cancer is not your destiny. See you guys. Bye.